Welcome back. So South Africa's economy grew by 0.6% in the fourth quarter of 2024, resulting in some growth for the year. However, this missed most targets of between 0.8% and 1.3% forecast. Will the growth give the National Treasury something to work with when crafting the budget in the medium term? Let's now speak to our business reporter, Ntokozo Khumalo, who's joining us in studio for another budget explainer this morning. So, Ntokozo, what have been some of the reaction to this growth? A very good morning to you.
Good morning, Aldrin. Well, as we approach the 12th of March, certainly the GDP data that came out for the fourth quarter, giving some sort of indication in regards to the direction that the economy is taking. Stats Office warning that we'll have to wait for first quarter data to get an indication of whether the economy will continue growing and perhaps meet some of the forecasts that have been set, or whether we are going to go to a contraction. But some of the industry notes that we've been receiving as reactions seem to be disappointed but cautiously optimistic. And I'd like to just listen to this bite from Essential Fuels on how the topsy-turvy economy has affected their business before we get into a conversation with FNB senior economist Thanda Sithole. Let's take a listen.
We have heard of many large and small fuel distribution companies ending up winding within the last financial year, with many others downscaling to survive. Many others have grown in size and reputation, showing positive market growth in some areas, but also a majorly shrinking market for wholesale business.
So I'd like to bring Thanda in for this conversation as we hear their fuel supply industry having a mixed bag in terms of how industry is reacting to the performance that we've seen in the economy over the past year. Some businesses shutting down, some taking it as an opportunity to grow. Thanda Sithole, let me bring you in here. Now, in your notes, you said despite the disappointing growth outcome for 2024, FNB remaining cautiously optimistic that GDP growth should accelerate towards 2% for 2025-26. Where is this optimism placed, Thanda?
Thanks, Ntokozo. Good morning to you, your listeners and your viewers. Unfortunately, I can't see you on the screen, but I hope you can see me.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, no, that's fine. So our optimism basically lies on several factors that we think that are going to support the economy. Firstly, inflation is expected to remain stable and low, which means that there will be some space for monetary policy to ease further. That should provide some support to the consumer as well as investment. But secondly, the two-pot retirement savings withdrawals are also expected to temporarily support or boost consumption over the near to medium term. And then thirdly, structural reforms are progressing well, particularly in areas of electricity and logistics. So that should also support economic growth. In other words, structural constraints in the near to medium terms to the medium term should become less of a problem for economic growth going forward.
Yeah. Now, Thanda, the one concern is how spread out this growth is. Only 3 industries of the 10 economic industries managing to register growth. How much is that of a concern, and how do we lift the other industries while we're seeing these improvements in the economy?
It is a concern that, sorry, there is a call that is disturbing me here. It is a concern that only 3 sectors of the economy posted growth in the fourth quarter. And I think it reflects current reality. So we saw that it was finance, agriculture, and trade that supported economic growth. The weakness that we saw in other sectors, particularly construction, manufacturing, and electricity, reflects structural constraints that are affecting economic activity currently. So that really is a concern, and it requires that we continue to implement economic reforms to try and make sure that these bottlenecks are actually removed in the economy. So that's really a concern at this stage, but we are hopeful that the ongoing reforms are going to support economic growth going forward.
Now, Tada, even that 2% that F&B forecast that we may still achieve in the medium term falls short of the 3+ percentage points that's needed to see real economic growth that makes a dent in job creation and unemployment in the country. Now, you also highlighted that stability of the government of national unity is important for sustaining this growth. The GNU obviously still combing through the budget that will be delivered now in less than a week. What does it look like? What does that stability in the GNU look like, especially for Finance Minister Ntokozo to really craft a budget that meets most of South Africans' needs when we are contending with so much risk in the economy?
Sure. So you are right. The focus that we see over the near to medium term is insufficient to make or to significantly reduce higher levels of unemployment and poverty. So we need more growth. We need about 3.5 and above sustainable growth over the medium term to make sure that we improve our socio-economic indicators. As far as the GNU is concerned, I think its stability is going to be very important. We know that we've got Treasury faces a lot of several risks. Some of these risks are external, related to what is going on in terms of global fragmentations, but also domestically we've got rising spending pressures, we've got elevated levels of unemployment and poverty. So the budget needs to strike that balance, ensuring that there is continued support for the poor and vulnerable households, and that there is increased expenditure on infrastructure to support economic growth or potential growth, and also that the government continues to do fiscal consolidation in order to make sure that debt does not become a problem over the medium term. So they need to strike that balance, and I think that the coherence of the GNU in terms of policy is going to be critical. So we will need the GNU to remain intact and to ensure that they support economic policy and that they implement. There are 3 economic priorities that they highlighted at the start of the GNU. So that is going to be critical. We need to put aside political interest and make sure that we put the interest of the economy and of the country forward here.
Absolutely, Thando. Well, I think that's been the key takeaway in this week, is that balancing act and needing then GNU members to sing the same tune when it comes to how we can drive economic growth and really craft a budget that most South Africans can be happy with. But let's leave it there. Thanda Sithole, of course, is a senior economist with F&B. So, Aldrin, a lot of work with just a week to go to then Finance Minister Ntokozo tabling that budget on the 12th of March. Still some work. We got that note that they haven't quite reached an agreement yet. Still, trying to comb through that budget and ensure that it is one that can drive economic growth and that spending is really channeled to things and items that will grow the economy. But we'll continue watching closely the developments then until that budget is delivered on the 12th of March, Aldrin.